Seorang pemilik syarikat mengaku tidak bersalah atas 2 pertuduhan memalsukan dokumen borang pendaftaran pekerja berkaitan program insentif pengambilan pekerja program penjanakerjaya 1.0. Tertuduh Izzah Suria Muda 37 tahun membuat pengakuan itu selepas pertuduhan dibacakan di hadapan Hakim Mahkamah Session Kuala Terengganu dan ZULKIFLI.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum. The case study report on the article regarding the title SOCSO suspend Ringgit Malaysia for 123 million in penjanakerjaya payment over the false claim. Fraud or the false claim is one of the ethical related incident report in the news. Fraud can be understood by any behavior that depend on the mislending in order to obtain a grant. Penjanakerjaya was launched on June 2021 as a part of the Malaysia Economy Recovery Plan is called Penjana. It was implemented by SOCSO and with full support from the Minister of Human Resources. Penjanakerjaya aim to promote job correction and increase employment prospects. Company will receive financing incentive to provide employment to the unemployed. Additionally, the unemployed who want to upgrade their skill can apply for a training allowance from SOCSO up to Ringgit Malaysia 4,000. In the article, with the total amount of Ringgit Malaysia 423 million, SOCSO has suspended payment for the hiring incentive program Penjanakerjaya Alliance following misappropriation and false claim involving the employer and training provider. Suspenses was made based on the data analysis and continuous monitoring by the Agency Anti-Fraud, Ethics and the Integrity Units. The investigation into the case is conducted in collaboration with the Malaysia Anti-Corruption after Civilian and Intelligence Conduct signed May 2021 found that content employer had made false claim and misappropriated the fund that has disbursed under the Penjanakerjaya program.
Let me explain a little bit about Penjanakerjaya. What is a Penjanakerjaya? In June 2020, Tan Sri Mahyudin Yassin, our former Prime Minister, announced Penjanakerjaya, which is a part of the National Recovery Plan Penjana, in order to increase job demands among businesses and boosting job opportunity and employability among local job seekers. In 2021, Penjanakerjaya 2.0 with an improved versions from Penjanakerjaya 1.0 was introduced. Then after that, Penjanakerjaya 3.0 program is a continuation of the hiring incentive program. The scheme of hiring was improved with the intentions of lowering local unemployment. The main issue here arises when there is a false claim over Penjanakerjaya fund in July 2022. Therefore, the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commissions and SOCSO launched investigations into false claim and misuse the Penjanakerjaya fund, whereas there is companies and training provider have involved in false and misused fund under the government hiring incentive program. As a result, SOCSO has suspended the 423 million over Penjanakerjaya payment.
Okay, next I will explain about the possible issue that might be happen in the future. So the first one is increasing in unemployed. Why it led to increasing in unemployed when the misuse of fund from the Penjanakerjaya happened? Because there is not enough fund to hire new workers. As all we know, Penjanakerjaya normally is giving a fund for the employers to hiring new workers or like to fulfill the position that was empty through hiring new workers. And as all we know, when a company needs to hire new workers, obviously there is a cost will be rise, right? So the cost can be from the upgrading their skills, which is the seminar was given to them, and then renovation their workplace, for placing a new table for the new hiring, and then even to buy a new equipment like computer. Well, most of it will be happen when the company was taking risk in hired and fresh graduate, since they're still new in the working environment. However, even though the penjanakerjaya initiative being misused, but SOCSO already given like 2.34 billion to 45 and 379 firms, which is to hire approximately like 300,000 above for the job seekers. And in avoiding the misuse of fund happen again, SOCSO has pledged to working or like to confront together with the MSCC to investigate any occurrence of penjanakerjaya false claim which involving businesses and training facilities participating in ops hire. And while the the SOCSO and MSCC was joined hand by hand in solving this problem, Datuk Sri M. Saravanan, which is a former Minister of Human Resource, already giving warning to the people for not misuse the MSCC investigation into false claims by the employers and training providers under the penjanakerjaya. And according to the MSCC's investigation, there were questions about 66 of the companies that was involved, and 118 reports of employers was failing to comply with the recently implemented of minimum wage requirement, which is 1,500 ringgit per month. And additionally, the Chief Executive Officer of SOCSO reminds employers who have misappropriated the penjanakerjaya fund or made false claims to come out and make a voluntary refund or contact SOCSO to solve the issue before any action is taken against them. Okay, next, another possible issue is lack of fresh skills workers. Well, the SOCSO or the penjanakerjaya initiative are one of the initiatives in providing more skills workers, either it is from apprentice, unemployed, and vulnerable group. Well, the vulnerable group can be like the OKU, orang-orang upaya, and all of this fund that has been provided through the penjanakerjaya initiative is using for the employee to giving incentive to a certain group of workers, obviously through the employer. Well, this kind of initiative is not only will be beneficial for the hiring employers, which is the new employees, but also to the employer, since they can select new workers that compatible with the position that they needed, and even a new face, and also the new environment will be changes. Moreover, the regulation, in order to pass the initiative, the employer just need to provide short contract to the workers, which is like 6 to 12 months according to group of workers, which is the group of workers. There was 3 groups that I was mentioned before, and this method can be a best way to train and monitor the hiring workers before give them permanent position in the company, which is to avoid from any negativity in the future or any any negativity from the future. So actually penjanakerjaya is really a best way in giving in helping all the companies in Malaysia in rising the company or even build up the company and maintaining the harmony of the company, also to avoid from the lack of skills in the future. So what is SOCSO and MSCC that we're doing right now is really a good way in reduce the unintegrity that was happen along the Malaysia. That's it for me. And
the actor in this article is the Social Security Organization and the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission, which is MSCC. According to the article, the suspension of Ringgit Malaysia 423 million payments for the penjanakerjaya by the SOCSO was made based on the data analysis on continuous monitoring by one of the actor agent, which is the SOCSO's Anti-Fraud Ethics and Integrity Unit, followed by the investigation into the false claims made through ops hire which the ops is established under MACC, and their role is to investigate the issue of false claims and misuse of hiring incentive program incentive funds in several states. Based on surveillance and intelligence carried out since May 2021 in collaboration with the MACC, the investigation found that certain employers had made these false claims and had misused the funds. SOCSO has distributed Ringgit Malaysia 2.34 billion to 45,379 employers to hire 327,789 job seekers under the penjanakerjaya program. Therefore, SOCSO and MACC takes the issue seriously because it involves taxpayer funds, and it is important to maintain integrity, honesty, and trust in obtaining the financial assistance from the government. The government financial assistance should aim to ease the burden of those who really need the fund, according to the requirement established procedures. In line with that, SOCSO acted this misappropriation of funds seriously and is committed to provide full support and cooperation to the MACC in conducting an investigation into the case of penjanakerjaya's false claims involving employer and training provider under the ops hire. In connection with that, SOCSO, as the actor in the ethical incident, remind the employers to always be honest in submitting application for any government assistance program, including the penjanakerjaya program implemented, and any employer who is found to have misused fund or submitted false claim is advised to make a voluntary repayment or contact the SOCSO to resolve the problem before the action is taken against them. Thank you.
Next, let me explain with the implication of the incidents. The issue of malpractice and false claims that have involved employers and training providers will definitely have a huge impact on all of society in general. And this follows the employment incentive program, which is penjanakerjaya, given by the government to help ease the burden of those who are eligible and really in need according to the conditions and methods set. The adverse effect of the issue are that it generally persecutes people who should be entitled to government assistance. And this will also cause a long-term effect where the person he mistreated will also commit bribery at another time, so that other jobs also fall into his hands. And for example, bribery cases that happened in Malaysia recently, where the construction company manager has been charged under Section Code because bribing a civil servant with 14,000 in order to get permission and additional work approval for repairs work in Bulu Selangor. Thus, this can be arisen drastically in the future when the respective person on any project are not transparent enough, which can cause misuse of power or corruption. The effect that can be considered is that it also fuels feelings of revenge and anger, which can trigger hostility. This will usually arise from the party that feels wrong and knows that their rights fall into the hands of people who give bribes. In addition, there will be no justice in the decision made by the judge in court. As a result of misused funds, people who are supposed to be guilty go free and innocent people go to jail. For instance, SOCSO has received 1,758 complaints on false incentive packages, claims and wage issues, where from that number of cases, 340 cases has involved in suspected false and wrongful claims, which quite a lot. From these cases, the targeted in reducing the unemployed workers will be off the track. Next, if law enforcers such as the police, SPRM and custom accept bribes, then cases of crimes and bad deeds such as murder, drug trafficking, smuggling, complaints of corruption cases, rape and the like cannot be solved. Even the people will lose faith in the relevant departments. This is one of the effects that will be faced by people who are persecuted due to the attitude of a few people who are not honest in their actions. According to Malaysia Anti-Corruption Commission, after open investigation made about 600 billion ringgit of government funds alleged to be misappropriation. Last but not least, the effect on society. The misuse of funds in SOCSO has opened a lot of society vision, where many of them before this are not really understand why transparency in every fund that flowing in and out within the government are really important. While this case has happened, the society can be more knowledgeable in order to keep their rights in place. The effect toward the society can be seen in terms of causing injustice by ignorance certain people's right, encouraging crime and protecting criminals, burdening the poor and worsening poverty due to mismanagement of resources set up to help the poor. The incidents will also have an impact on the country's efficiency and integrity, as well as social and political stability and security, an unbalanced development focus, an increase in the cost of goods and services, a decrease in national income, and finally a decrease in the quality of work or products produced. Thank you.
In conclusions, the incidents that happened in SOCSO has knowledge of all companies in Malaysia. Misuse of funds is not something that we can keep practicing since it can cause implications in many ways, especially in terms of the company reputations, where according to the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission and SOCSO, the companies and the training provider which is involved in the false claim and the misuse of the incentive fund under the government hiring incentive program, penjanakerjaya, will be investigated further, and for those who entitled under this false claim will be summoned and return the fund back. All of this incident actually is lead to the lower integrity among the public servants. However, it still can be improved by considering the success factor. For example, like the individuals personally, their willingness to change. There is also have a solid policies and clear goals in the companies. And sometimes the company shows continuous and repeated the educations among the staff to avoid something like this happen in futures. There is also should have an effective communications within the superiors and the staff and so on. Thus, the SOCSO funds or maybe problem like this will not be happens again in futures. Thank you.